Andrew, one of the big impacts of this is that we're not able to meet face to face. So our community has been impacted in a significant way. Our togetherness has been impacted. Can you help us reflect on what it's going to look like over the next few months for our church communities as we're unable to gather physically?
Again, it's with all of these, it's keep the outcome in mind. What am I trying to achieve? Where I want to get to? And our desire has always been that every member of our church be personally cared for and supported. And that's always been the outcome. How do you do that in the new context and environment? That's the big question. And for us, with all of these, for us, it's been a case of getting a team together to consider how to answer that question, how to achieve those outcomes in this new environment with the most effective, efficient resource allocation. You know, we haven't got unlimited resources, so you have to pay attention to what you've got. With that in mind, therefore, we look to use whatever structures we've got in place already that can carry this care load. And so small groups, growth groups, home groups, whatever you call them, for us, continue to be a core piece to provide that care. And so one of our aims is not in the short term. In the short term, we just wanted to get it online, that structure. But in the medium term, we'll be looking to ways to make that structure work better for us in terms of supporting the vulnerable, paying attention to spiritual needs, of course, but paying attention also to health needs, physical needs, personal needs. And so we'll be looking for ways to support growth group leaders, growth groups in the care and support of their particular networks. Some of the language we've used is that though the growth group structure has changed and can't meet physically, the growth group network is more important than ever.
So, Hedy, you talked about mobilising the network of small group leaders. What does that look like?
Well, it looks like a balance between not crushing them with expectations and burdens that they can't bear, and yet seeking to encourage them to ramp up what they might have already been doing and doing that a bit better and a bit more. So, you know, we've got to watch that we don't expect from people something that's impossible to do and set them up for failure. And realistic expectations is one of the key pieces in managing a small group network. And so, you know, one simple thing is to invite people to identify what's a realistic call regime. Do you know, is it, can you once a week, twice a week, call one person for 10 minutes and ask them, how are you going? What can I pray for? Catch you next time. So giving them simple, realistic expectations. Now, we've also developed a separate ministry in our context here to pursue the non-growth group crowd. So in one sense, as you pursue this kind of community care support, you've got to pay attention to the kind of the circles of church life. You've got the leaders in church life, the core. You've got the people who are bound up in small groups with you, part of your very close community. But then you've got people who are part of your church, genuinely identify as church, who aren't in small groups. And further outside of that, you've got the fringe, who have been moving around in amongst you, wouldn't identify as community, not in small groups and so on. So working out a plan, an outcome, I want to see every member of this whole community cared for, supported. Each circle of groups of people will require a slightly different plan. So we've sought to pay attention to each of those groups and pursue them accordingly, which therefore means that, you know, the growth group structure obviously works for your close-in small group. But the ones outside of that have needed a whole new team, and the ones outside of that further. Interestingly and wonderfully, that ministry has been hugely popular to be involved in because people love getting called at this time. 6 months ago, they didn't love it so much. We've done this kind of thing in the past, but now they're thrilled to have someone contact them and say, we love, we care, What can we do for you? Is there anything you need?
So you've got people wanting to serve in this ministry, but also people actually inviting the call and wanting to.
Yeah. And so, but huge. My expectation is that managing all of this well, we will come out of this time, be it 3 months, 6 months, we'll come out of this time with a more closely knit together church community, with a growing church community with new people connected in. And so under God, it is a real opportunity for men and women who have somewhat, perhaps relied too much on the supports that have been given to them, actually having a chance to step up and take responsibility for their own spiritual well-being and that of others. It's a great blessing, this opportunity.
Now, in the past, I've heard you talk about the beauty of the church, how the compelling nature of thick community, strengthens, grows, builds momentum for mission. Given that we can't gather, how do you see that taking place now in a sort of a non-gathered space? How do we still build that momentum, have that thick community, and then give people the opportunity to see it as attractive?
Well, one of the realities is we've lost something. We have lost some dimensions of the beautiful thing that God intends the world to see. The fact that we can't now gather and corporately sing to one another praises to our God, that's a piece that we just can't duplicate. So we're missing that. We're missing the visibility of diverse people from different backgrounds all gathered together around Christ in a physical space. We're missing that. These are you can't reproduce those. But what you can do is demonstrate that Christians don't live for themselves, but for him who died for them, and so will love others sacrificially. And that's something that's very hard to hide, even though it's in your own house. Now, there's just lots of incidental contacts that do still happen, and people will see in us, God willing, a beauty of you'll know them by their love. And so we expect that to be produced and exhibited and demonstrated in all kinds of small ways, large ways. And that is still a powerful witness to the world around us.
So can I encourage churches to take that opportunity to celebrate that in their live stream services, in their services? Take the opportunity to interview people and talk to your people about how they are being cared for and how people are putting themselves second.
It's helpful because one of the things we've always sought to do, and I guess I keep trying to draw back to, there are lots of things we've always tried to do, always have been doing. You just do them now in a new setting, in a new context. One of the things we've always tried to do, helpfully, is make heroes of the people we want as examples and models of church life. And the streaming context gives you a way to do that. You get someone to hold a phone up, share their story, be interviewed, stick it online. Run it through the service. And there are great ways to encourage each other by tangible, concrete expressions of what it looks like to live the Christian life.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward in this season for a whole group of people actually wanting to join our Zoom small groups, saying, I want to be part of this online thing that you've got. And then coming out the other end of it, actually physically wanting to be part of our small groups and our gatherings. And our relationships in our community. Thanks for giving us your thoughts on this, Herdy.